everybody, and welcome to the Millennial Revolt, an independent political talk show that seeks to bring a different narrative than the stale one we have going on right now in the mainstream media. So, Dr. Jill Stein has officially received her party's nomination for President of the United States, and the smear attacks are slowly beginning against Dr. Jill Stein, and it's vicious. There is so much misinformation going on right now. They're saying that she is a Putin agent, just like Donald Trump, and that she is possibly a Manchurian candidate as well. So this election cycle is just one of the strangest I've seen. There's so much fear-mongering and so much disinformation that it's hard to differentiate what is true and what is false. And this is what we're going to be doing today, so we're going to correct the record. Like all left-leaning or progressive journalists nowadays seem to attack anyone who isn't on the Hillary train, Slate.com is no different. So the corporate media is beginning to attack Dr. Jill Stein, and it's so crazy because she's not even polling that high in the polls. Depending on whichever poll you look at, she's either polling between 5% and 7%. Now, there's an article from the Boston Globe which says, "A new low for Jill Stein." It says, "Finally Jill Stein's moment has arrived, and boy is it an ugly one. The Lexington physician has run for office many times over the years, state rep, Secretary of State, and governor twice. Now, after having been only the Green Party standard bearer in 2012, she is once again running for Green Party's presidential candidate. And this is crazy. Terrifying cycle looks like it'll be Stein's most successful yet, though it might be difficult to look at herself in the mirror afterward." Hoping to draw the Bernie or bust folks to her cause, Stein has been in the thick of the protests, because as I've told you guys in my previous video, Jill Stein was actually with the protesters during the Democratic National Convention. She spoke at some rallies. She was meeting with some of the heads of the Bernie movement. She was getting together with some of the delegates. Bernie Sanders laid the groundwork for his political revolution that he wanted to start, and now Jill Stein, for all intents and purposes, is the standard bearer for the movement. She's basically taken the torch. And a lot of people who were either Bernie or bust, never Hillary, who took part in the Dem exit, are looking at Stein as the person that they want to vote for. And her numbers are steadily climbing. You know, I would advise her to get independent pollsters so she can really find out what her numbers are, and don't trust these CNN, Washington Post, ABC polls, because all of these major corporations are in the tank for Hillary Clinton. But now the corporate media is really trying to sabotage her. So the article continues. It says, "In their view, Clinton is just as bad as Donald Trump. As bad as a man who daily sinks to levels one would have thought impossible. They say he is a demagogue, but yet, and still, they refuse to address any of the concerns that any of the Bernie or bust people say, or when they talk about Hillary Clinton's record." What I've noticed in a lot of these articles, they just point at Trump. Well, Trump is basically Satan. He's going to bring fascism to the United States. He's going to bring Nazism, and never addressing the legitimate concerns that people have over Hillary Clinton's very checkered past. Her record is very questionable. The things that she has supported, the policies that she has enacted over legislation that she took part in, when she was Secretary of State, her doing very questionable things. They don't seem to address that at all. But they attack Dr. Jill Stein because she is addressing these concerns. She is giving a voice to the people who feel like the Democratic Party is not for them anymore, who feel that their concerns are not being answered, and who want to see a more liberal, a progressive candidate in the White House who is going to help the middle class, who is going to help a lot of these students who are in debt. So the article goes on to say, and Stein is seeing her opening is right in there with them, and anybody else who can advance her candidacy, no matter how hostile they are to the causes for which she fought her whole life. The scary things that Donald Trump says Hillary Clinton has done, Jill Stein told NPR a few days ago. Whether it's massively deporting immigrants, whether it's threatening nuclear warfare. And then the article goes on to say she criticizes the Obama administration's record on deportation, or Clinton herself, as too hawkish, sure, but making the Democrats' shortcoming in those areas equivalent to those of a guy who wants to build a wall, expel millions, intimidate the press, revive torture, and have the military commit war crimes is so ridiculous. I feel stupid writing it. But what she fails to mention is that these things are true. President Obama is called the deporter-in-chief. He is committing night raids. Now, whether you agree with him on his immigration policies, that is another thing. But this is what the Democratic Party is doing. Hillary Clinton was advocating for a wall long before Donald Trump was, when she said after the coup in Honduras and many of the mothers were sending their children to the United States so they can escape the violence that was happening there. She was saying, well, we need to build a wall. We need to deport these people. Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, some of them voted for the Patriot Act. Under President Obama, he extended George Bush's drone program, which 9 times out of 10 doesn't even kill the people who it's intended to. It's killing civilians. Under President Obama and Hillary Clinton at the helm as Secretary of State, Libya became a failed state. One of the most richest countries in Africa became a failed state where there are 2 rival governments fighting for power, and ISIS has a stronghold in there. These are things that the Democrats have done, and to try to brush this under the rug and try to pretend that this doesn't exist, President Obama signs off on an unauthorized kill list. Okay? These are things that the Democrats are doing, that the Democratic Party is doing. Hillary Clinton was advocating for more, to put a no-fly zone over Syria, to put more American troops on the ground. We have no legal authorization to be there. We're violating international law as it is. But these are what the Democrats is doing. So when she says these things, and she says that the Democrats are as equal to what the Republicans are doing, these are not falsehoods. These are true. This is all for public record. This is all for public consumption. Anyone can look these things up. So another attack that's being levied against Dr. Jill Stein is claiming that she's an anti-vaxxer. Several editorials have been published about this. They are saying that Dr. Jill Stein was using veiled language to characterize vaccines as unsafe or even scary in order to pander to voters. They say that many of those critics point to a Reddit AMA in June where Jill answered questions about her platform. At the time, Stein expressed skepticism about the United States' current vaccine scheduling, saying that in other parts of the world, people have more faith in the public health institutions because of lack of corporate influence. She said, in the U.S., however, regulatory agencies are routinely packed with corporate lobbyists and CEOs. So the foxes are guarding the chicken coop as usual in the US. So who wouldn't be skeptical? I think dropping vaccination rates, that can and must be fixed in order to get a vaccination issue. The widespread distrust of the medical industrial complex. Within the same AMA, Dr. Jill Stein clarifies that both personally as a physician, she sees the inherent benefits of vaccines. So, majority of these articles fail to even state what she actually said. She's a doctor, so I would assume she would know what she's talking about, being trained. Disdaining herself from all-out anti-vaxxers, Stein notes the essential role that the controversial injections play in public health. She characterizes her skepticism as one of the industry surrounding vaccines and not the product itself. She said, "Vaccines should be treated like any medical procedure. Each one needs to be tested and regulated by parties that do not have financial interest in them." She said, "We need to take the corporate influence out of the government so people will trust our health authorities and the rest of the government for that matter. Ending the revolving door. Appoint qualified professionals without a financial interest in the product that's being regulated." So in the same breath, she answered her own questions. She's saying, yes, we should be skeptical because we have corporate lobbyists who are basically in the hands, who are backing the medical industrial complex. She's saying, like all things, we should be skeptical. Does she see the benefits of vaccines? Yes, she does. But she says we should have unbiased people who are trustworthy working in our government on the matter to study vaccine side effects and the benefits of it. And I see nothing wrong with that. There's nothing controversial about that. There's nothing that say, oh my god, she's an anti-vaccine vaxxer. So they're just trying to throw anything out there just to smear her, and just to make it seem that it's something that it's not. Jill Stein even addressed these on her Twitter page. She said, "The idea that I'm anti-vaccine is false. My full response to this obvious smear campaign. I believe that healthcare should serve people, not the interests of pharmaceutical and insurance companies, unlike the DNC or Hillary. I am not aware of any evidence linking autism with vaccines. Let's do more to support autistic people and their families. Those who say I'm anti-vax are anti-facts. They're lying to distract you from our revolt against the two-party failure." So Dr. Jill Stein continues to press back against this obvious smear campaign that's going on to try to detract any support that she's getting, because as I said, depending on which poll you look at, she's polling between 5 and 7%, and her numbers are continuing to rise. People don't like Hillary Clinton. That's nobody else's fault but Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is a weak candidate, and if Donald Trump was actually smarter and had any idea of how policy works and just shut his mouth, he would actually be winning. Not that I'm advocating Donald Trump to win, because I think personally he's a buffoon, but the point is, anyone could beat Hillary Clinton if they were half as competent, and I believe Jill Stein is. And if we can get her into the debates, at one point Bernie Sanders was polling at 3%, and he was beating Hillary Clinton in some polls. So it's not impossible. They're just afraid because Jill Stein's message is honest. It's pure. When people look at her, they believe her. And she's not a hawk. And that's one thing that I can appreciate as a person who's more concerned about foreign policy than anything else. Jill Stein wants to demilitarize our police. She wants to reduce the number of military bases that we have overseas, and that's, to me, is very encouraging for the next future president. So Julian Assange spoke at the Green Party convention, and he said that choosing between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and having to vote for one of them as one of the lesser of two evils, and they are our only alternatives, is a form of extortion, and he is right. No political party is guaranteed your votes. The Democratic Party is not guaranteed your vote because you are a liberal or a progressive. And the Republican Party is not guaranteed your vote because you are a libertarian or a conservative. You vote for a candidate who you believe in, whose values and policies you want to see enacted, who you think will be good for the country, which will help the people. Political parties are just tools for corporations to get their policies enacted. And this is what more and more people are starting to see. None of these parties are for the people. And one thing that Jill Stein and Amaru Baraka brought up was the fact that people seem to be more concerned that they possibly believe that Russia is getting involved in the United States election than the fact that the WikiLeaks emails revealed DNC blatant corruption and media duplicity. Jill Stein addressed some of these concerns, saying that this is routine. There's no question that Julian Assange is a hero. This is what State Departments do to one another. And Baraka added that he said that he was concerned that more people are concerned with the source than the revelations. He said the focus on Russia was a divisionary tactic. And it's true, the WikiLeaks emails show that the DNC was actively trying to sabotage Bernie Sanders' campaign. That the WikiLeaks emails showed that there were media personalities as well as journalists complicit and helped push forward this anti-Bernie Sanders narrative. There were media personalities and media outlets which outright lied and said that Bernie Sanders supporters were violent. And people expect us to get behind Hillary Clinton because there's so much fear-mongering over Donald Trump. People are damn near thinking this is a Red Scare, that the Russians are involved in our election, and now there's even talks that Jill Stein is a Kremlin agent. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous, and it's borderline hysteria going on. Let's take a look at what the Clinton legacy has brought us. The Clinton legacy brought us NAFTA. The Clinton legacy brought us CAFTA. The Clinton legacy brought us the crime bill, which disproportionately locked up African American citizens. The Clintons repealed Glass-Steagall, which allowed Wall Street to become out of control. You know, this is the Clinton legacy. These are things that they have done. The Clintons signed the Telecommunications Act, which essentially turned our once free media into a giant corporation. Bill Clinton signed the liberation of Iraq, which paved the way for the Iraq War. And this is what you get when you elect Hillary Clinton. So there's a lot of things to think about. And I would rather have someone like Jill Stein in the White House who is fair and balanced and who understands where the people are coming from and who's not corrupted by any of this corporate money. We need someone like that. We need someone who's going to take our foreign policy in a different direction, because the way we're headed, it's extremely dangerous. It seems like we're headed towards a world war. God forbid. It just looks like that's where this is going. I'm the Millennial Revolt. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a great day.